Hi, I'm your host, Brad Riddle, and I have a problem. I've picked up a ton of useless sports knowledge through the years. I started Sports Wax so I'd have somewhere to put it. I also have a favor to ask. Please subscribe to this podcast. Go to grumpybuck.com, that's GRUMPYBUCK, like the deer, .com, and you'll see Sports Wax Podcast in the menu. Go to the podcast page, enter your email, and you're on the list. It's that easy. Now, without further ado, here's a Valentine's Day themed episode for Valentine's Week. I hope you enjoy.
Timeout. North Carolina State has one remaining.
In the long history of March Madness, there may be no greater upset than this one. It's April 4th, 1983 in Albuquerque, New Mexico. The number 1 seed Houston Cougars are playing number 6 seed North Carolina State for the national title. Houston has 2 just dominant players on its roster. You've probably heard of them. A 6'6" dunk machine named Clyde the Glide Drexler and a 7-foot Nigerian named Akeem Olajuwon. But here's the thing. They aren't dominating tonight. Drexler picked up 4 first-half fouls, and Olajuwon is struggling with the high altitude. It's tied at 52 with just a few seconds left. NC State has the ball, and they're about to get a game-winning putback as time expires. Here it comes.
Wittenberg! Oh, it's a long ways! They won it!
Houston loses. And it's a complete gut punch. The announcers are stunned, the crowd is going bananas, and Drexler and Olajuwon walk off the floor as college teammates for the last time. Redemption is always possible, but it's not always just a season away. Sometimes it takes a decade or more, and that's what this episode is all about. The career of one extraordinary basketball player, and how a Valentine's Day trade 30 years ago this week ultimately led to redemption. This is Sports Wax by grumpybuck.com. Sports Wax is a weekly documentary where we explore sports stories from yesteryear. Memories of players, coaches, and games that take us back in time. Welcome to Episode 2, the Valentine's Day trade that saved a city's title hopes.
One of them's out there on the mound, trying to get another one.
The 1983 national title game was just one brick in a wall of sports misery for the city of Houston. In January 1980, the NFL's Houston Oilers miss out on their first ever Super Bowl when they lose the AFC title game to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Just a few months later, the Houston Astros miss out on their first ever World Series when they blow a 5-run lead to lose the NLCS to the Philadelphia Phillies. The next summer, June 1981, the Houston Rockets reach their first ever NBA Finals, but they get roughed up in 6 games by Larry Bird and the Boston Celtics. It's deja vu in 1986. The Rockets get to the NBA Finals again, only to lose again to Larry Bird and the Celtics in 6 games. But this one is the worst. It's October 1986. The Astros are hosting the New York Mets in Game 6 of the NLCS. They have a 3-run lead heading into the 9th inning, and they blow it. The game goes to extras. In the bottom of the 16th inning, the Astros have one last chance to keep their World Series hopes alive. Down by 1, 2 runners on, 2 out. Well, listen for yourself.
3-2 to Bass. Struck him out.
A strikeout on a full count slider, and Houston loses again. As the 1980s become the 1990s, the Astros are rebuilding. As for the Oilers and the Rockets, they can't seem to win in the playoffs. But something shocking is about to happen that will throw open a huge window of opportunity.
Sometimes I dream that he's me.
In late summer 1993, Michael Jordan has the best-selling sneaker on the planet. He has a national title from his North Carolina days. He has 2 Olympic gold medals. And just a few months ago, he won his 3rd straight championship with the Chicago Bulls. Now it's just weeks before the start of a new season, and he's retiring.
Thanks, Jerry. I think everyone knows exactly what the circumstances are right now in terms of my decision not to play the game of basketball.
This is an absolute earthquake. It's October 6, 1993, and the best-known athlete in history is stepping away from his sport at age 30. With the Bulls on ice, who's going to step into the void? It's the Houston Rockets. Remember Akeem Olajuwon, the 7-foot Nigerian who struggled with the altitude in Albuquerque? In 1984, the Houston Rockets draft him number 1 overall, 2 spots ahead of Michael Jordan. Now that Jordan's off playing baseball and making Space Jam, Olajuwon is the NBA's new MVP. It's June 1994, and it's redemption time. The Rockets are playing the New York Knicks in the NBA Finals. You probably watched at least part of Game 5. It took place during O.J. Simpson's low-speed chase across Los Angeles in a white Bronco. NBC kept switching back and forth between the game and Tom Brokaw in the newsroom.
I'm Tom Brokaw in New York. You're looking at a Ford Bronco, and O.J. Simpson is almost back home. He's in that car. We're told that he has a gun. His mother...
The series goes to a Game 7, and the Rockets win. The agony is finally over.
Houston Rockets are the 1993-94 NBA champions.
That's redemption for Akeem Olajuwon in the city of Houston. But what about our old friend Clyde the Glide Drexler?
One day we wanted to shoot around just to get loose. And Coach Daly was just telling us, just get loose, just do some shooting.
Here's Clyde. He was drafted by the Portland Trail Blazers after that devastating loss to NC State in 1983. Now he's on the Arsenio Hall show because he's turned into a really good basketball player. He even takes the Blazers to the 1992 NBA Finals where, of course, they face Michael Jordan and the Bulls. Everybody's watching the Drexler-Jordan matchup. You might remember a specific highlight from Game 1 of that series. Jordan starts draining threes. He hits a record 6 in the first half. After the last one, Jordan runs down the court and shrugs as if to say, "I don't know what's gotten into me."
Here's Jordan for 3. Yes! Did you see that look?
And the series is kind of over before it really gets going. The Bulls win in 6. After the Rockets break through and win their first ever championship in 1994, they struggle with their title defense. As the next season starts, they look like the same team on paper, but they aren't playing like it on the court. The Blazers? After Jordan and the Bulls destroyed them in the NBA Finals, they lose in the first round 2 years in a row. Now they've fired their coach, and they're looking to get rid of Clyde Drexler.
This is the NBA on NBC.
In February 1995, the NBA descends on Phoenix for the All-Star Game. Akeem Olajuwon is in the starting lineup for the West. Behind the scenes, he's lobbying Rockets management to trade for his old college teammate, Clyde Drexler. Olajuwon scores 13 points, the West wins by 27, and the Rockets and Blazers are deep in negotiations. 2 days later, the Rockets and Blazers start to feel the love. It's Valentine's Day, 1995, and the deal is done. The Rockets send Otis Thorpe plus a first-round draft pick to Portland. In return, They get Clyde the Glide Drexler.
Otis Thorpe, he arrived in Portland on Thursday and couldn't get an MRI in time to complete his physical. Not a big deal for the Blazers, who did not play on Thursday, but Clyde Drexler, who was dressed up and ready to make his debut for the Rockets, could not play until Thorpe got his grade A stamp. Rockets in Charlotte, and there he is, all dressed up and ready to go. Meanwhile,
here's some bad news, though. There's no big post-trade breakthrough. The Rockets lose 5 straight games as February turns to March. They finish the season with 3 straight losses. They sneak into the playoffs as the 6th seed, but the team looks finished. Some fans wonder if the big Valentine's Day trade for Drexler was actually a big mistake. None of them could have guessed it, but the Rockets are about to go on one of the greatest and most improbable playoff runs in NBA history. There's nothing easy about the path to an NBA title, and that's especially true for the Rockets in 1995. They're going to face an absolute murderer's row of all-stars and all-time greats. We're talking about names that are universally known: NBA champions, Olympic gold medalists, Hall of Famers. First up, Karl Malone, John Stockton, and the Utah Jazz. The Jazz beat the Rockets twice in the last 3 games of the regular season, but it doesn't matter. The Rockets win in 5.
It's short, and the defending champions survive Game 5.
Drexler averages more than 25 points a game across the series. Next up, Charles Barkley and the Phoenix Suns. The Suns go up 3-1, and Houston looks like it's toast all over again. But the Rockets fight back to win 3 straight and the series.
And the Houston Rockets are going back to the Western Conference Finals.
Drexler and Olajuwon both scored 29 points in the deciding Game 7. And then it's David Robinson and the San Antonio Spurs in the Western Conference Finals. Before Game 2, NBA Commissioner David Stern presents Robinson with the MVP trophy.
Congratulations, David Robinson, 1995 NBA MVP.
On the Rockets bench, Hakeem Olajuwon, last year's MVP, tells his teammates this: "That's my trophy." Olajuwon dominates Robinson by scoring 41 points after the commissioner's presentation. The Rockets dominate the series, winning over the Spurs in 6 games.
The Houston Rockets are on their way back to the NBA Finals.
Drexler averages almost 20 points. Waiting for the Rockets in the NBA Finals, Shaquille O'Neal and the Orlando Magic, who are huge favorites.
For Game 1 of the NBA Finals.
Both teams with similar styles. Both teams like.
Remember how the Rockets lost the last 3 games of the season? Well, they close out the playoffs with 4 straight victories, sweeping through the Magic for another championship. Hakeem Olajuwon scores 30-plus points in each game. Drexler averages 21.5 points, 9.5 rebounds, and 6.8 assists across the series.
Olajuwon for 3. And that will cap it off.
This is June 14th, 1995, Game 4 in Houston. The crowd reaches a fever pitch as it becomes clear the Rockets are going to win.
The Houston Rockets have won their second consecutive NBA championship. They have swept the Orlando Magic.
It's been more than 12 years since Drexler and Olajuwon walked off the court in Albuquerque, stunned by NC State's last-second basket. Now, rather than walking off the court, their heads hung low, they step up to the podium to receive the Larry O'Brien Trophy, the reward for an NBA championship. What the Rockets accomplished is just stunning. They won 5 elimination games. They became the first team in NBA history to beat 4 50-win teams en route to a championship. They won a record 9 road games during the playoffs. And none of it would have happened without the Valentine's Day trade that brought Clyde Drexler home. Here's what he had to say after the victory.
can you express what this means to you? For most of the people surrounding you, it's the second time. For you, it's the first, and it had been a long wait.
It's the first, and it's just a great thing to be a part of a class organization, to play with players like Akeem, the guys on the team, Mario, Robert, super serious, the coaching staff. Rudy T did a fantastic job from start to finish.
Just after Clyde spoke, Rockets coach Rudy Tomjanovich took the microphone and summed it up in words that have become legendary in Houston.
I can't take anything away from last year. That was special. This is a new team, and no one has ever done what this team's done. Come from the 6th seed, down in series. We won 9 road games, and we had non-believers all along the way. I have one thing to say to those non-believers. Don't ever underestimate the heart of a champion.
In late June, there's another parade through downtown Houston. This time, it includes Clyde Drexler, a graduate of Houston's Sterling High School, one of the greatest players in University of Houston history, and now a champion with the Houston Rockets. The Rockets haven't been back to the NBA Finals since then. The next season, with Michael Jordan back on the roster, the Bulls win a record 72 games and another NBA title. They win 2 more after that. As for the Rockets, they keep fiddling with the roster, but nothing really works. In each of the 3 seasons after their back-to-back titles, they lose in the playoffs to the team that will eventually lose to the Bulls in the finals. Clyde Drexler retires in summer 1998, a 10-time All-Star, a 1-time world champion, and forever a Houston sports icon. This is him after his final game.
It was great. I think tonight's game, we just didn't have it. We had some chances, even though we weren't playing well, but just couldn't pull it out. You got to give the Utah Jazz credit. They're a good team.
Well, again, what you guys showed is that you don't quit easily, and over the course of your career, you've been in this situation before. You weren't quitting this afternoon, but you just couldn't make it happen.
No, just couldn't make it happen. I think the schedule and the long minutes caught up with us, maybe the lack of depth, but whatever it was, we just couldn't get it done tonight.
All right, of one thing that stands out the most in your career, what would it be for you?
Those back-to-back banners are still the only ones that hang in the Rockets' home arena. But that first banner would be awfully lonely if Houston hadn't reached back in time on Valentine's Day 1995 to bring Clyde the Glide Drexler home for one last shot at redemption. Sports Wax is a documentary series brought to you by GrumpyBuck.com. That's GrumpyBuck.com. Subscribe to get new episodes that share a sports memory with a heavy dose of nostalgia each week.